You ever notice that those really cool lake boats from way back when seem to have a pile of coal right up on their aft deck? I think that's really cool. That's the coal that was fed to the boilers. And I think it's a cool thing, unless of course you're one of the deckhands that had to go shovel the overflow clear. For that reason, I wanted my boat to have a coal pile too. So the first thing I did is I had to build a little buffer to keep everything in place. You notice I painted the bottom of it flat black, and the sides are a little high. You're going to need some super glue, and you're going to need some coal. This is model train coal. I think it's HO gauge. Well, one container of this will last you a lifetime, I swear. I've had that one for 30 years. You can see here it's very fine grained, and it fits right in your hand. It's not anything that'll cut you or anything like that. Now, one of the things you have to watch out for is when you do the gluing process on this, if your stack is black, you're going to end up with this haze on the stack. That comes from the evaporation of the super glue as it dries. And the fumes from that will make this stain on your stack. So I wanted to protect my really wonderful Steinbrenner stack here. And in order to do that, I had to come up with a nifty gadget, which is very simple. A shield. Just a piece of double folded over yellow paper, and there. Now those fumes cannot get to my stack. 1 teaspoon is all I used for this. And you can see that it doesn't look like much, but it goes a long way. And yes, I know what you're thinking. Your hand is always in the way. Yep, that's the only way to really record this. You see there's a lot left over on the spoon. But yes, my hand will be in the way. Deal with it. Anyhow, once you get it all piled on there, now you start trimming it. I use a little toothpick. And I just managed to push it up. You want to have it more like a pile rather than something that you teaspooned on there. Also, trim away the excess. Anything on the sides that you don't want to fall off. Anything on the sides you don't want to stick in different places. And there are some areas you want to have kind of clear. So it takes a while. You really have to manicure this thing. You can push it up like this. And you can trim it down by the sides. Don't worry about spillage. Like I said, this stuff will last you forever. So if you waste some, it's no big deal. This little stick right here is kind of like a spatula. So I use that to trim it and shape it. It's an old technique that I've used for years and years and years, and it always works. It takes a while, and it takes some patience, but you just keep working at it. And make sure that if you have some flat spots, you can just scoop up some of the extra and dump it in the flat spots. It really is a matter of trimming it up and making it look nice. It's a long process, but it is worth it, trust me. When you see it close up, you'll say that was worth it. Next, super glue. Add this in a drop at a time, but keep dropping it. You want the super glue to get not just on the surface, you want it to permeate all the way through and down to the balsa wood on the bottom. It's got to go all the way through. So you keep putting it on, keep putting it on. Don't put it on to the point where it starts to dribble down the sides and screw up your deck house. But keep putting it on as long as it will soak it up. And you'll notice you'll have to drip a little bit slower as you go, but it'll keep sopping it up. It'll keep sopping it up. Let it do that. Let it keep sopping it up. And just keep telling yourself it's going down in there, it's going down in there. When it gets to the point where it won't settle in anymore, then you pretty much have it. or when it gets to the point when settling in becomes much more slow, then you've pretty much got it. And you can see from the results here that I'm also being very careful not to touch anything with my fingers. Now, when you're done, that super glue is going to start to dry. Leave it for about 24 hours. Don't move it. Leave it where it is. And you pull up the shield and looky there. Nothing on my stack. And all of that is in place. Now when you do this little dumping thing, sometimes little pieces will fall off. But over time, that's going to, within 48 hours, that'll be just totally, absolutely in place forever. And it looks great. You have to excuse me here. I had to put a little clay on the bottom of this pad because I didn't want the pad to get bumped and moved and jar the coal out of place while it was still wet. So, and that coal right there goes back in the can. And there we are. So I didn't have anything stuck to the plate, and my cabin looks good. Next, let's see how it looks on the boat. That's the important part. Bring our stern over here and plop it down, and there you go. What a nice effect. I wish I should have zoomed in on it, but I didn't. This is still great. You'll love it, trust me.